All right, let's talk for a few moments about this girl, Rachel Diallo, on the far left of this picture here. She's in Ukraine. She's a student over in Ukraine, and obviously she's trying to get home. She's trying to get to safer ground. And there's been, I would say, an incessant amount of coverage of her case in the Irish media and in some foreign publications like The Guardian, for instance, trying to highlight what's happened to her and trying to ensure she gets home safely. Now, you know, there may be some justification for this in the fact that she's black, and therefore the border guards in countries like Poland and Moldova and so on won't automatically make the connection. Oh, she's actually an Irish citizen. She's actually, you know, grown up in Ireland, lived in Ireland. Like, so she's not one of these people fleeing war or whatever from, well, supposedly fleeing war or some other, deadly circumstances in Africa or Asia, which might justify them being a legitimate asylum applicant. But no, she's not one of them. She's actually an Irish citizen. And therefore, you know, she should be treated the same as any other Irish citizen. So there is that whole thing there. So I understand why there would be a certain amount of focus on her case. But still, you know, you still have 70 or 80 other Irish citizens over in Ukraine at the moment, including 4 babies. And it does seem strange how they are focusing so much on this one girl to the relative exclusion of all the other Irish citizens who are surely just as important as she is, you know. Now, if we look at this case a little bit more, there is the whole thing of what is she doing in Ukraine? And I know people can choose to study wherever they want, but there is a thing where people who don't manage to get into certain courses, particularly in medicine, will go to countries like Ukraine, and they will get a qualification in medicine which will allow them to get into the system, okay, in Ireland, in countries like Ireland and other countries, with a qualification which really is not as high in standard as it would be in Ireland. So it's a bit of a loophole, you could say. You know, you have people who probably shouldn't be getting jobs in medicine in Ireland, but they're able to do so because they have a qualification for another country where standards are lower. And this isn't just Ukraine. This goes for, you know, countries across Africa, Asia, other parts of the world who don't have the same high standards in medicine as we have. And there is that danger of people coming in, or rather studying in colleges abroad with lower standards than we have, and then getting into our medical system, and working perhaps even as a doctor or a consultant or whatever. And it's a concern, you know. And when you do look at the number of botched jobs, the number of mishaps that have happened in Irish and British hospitals over the last couple of decades, it's striking to notice how many of them have been from foreign doctors or doctors who are not of Irish or British extraction. And I'll just show you quickly now this video here. You might be familiar with this man here, History Debunked, Simon, I believe his name is, and he talks about this whole practice of people going over to countries like Ukraine in order to get a qualification over there in, for instance, medicine, which allows them to get into the system, you know, work in medicine in countries like Ireland or Britain, even though they're probably not really at the required standard, or what should be the required standard for working in a country like Ireland or Britain in the medical system. So you can take a look at that video at your own leisure. So coming back to this article here, you can take a look through this as well when you get a chance. So it goes over her plight. And, obviously I feel sorry for the girl. You know, I'm sure it must be harrowing to be in her situation. But what's interesting to look at here as well, if you look about halfway down through this article, you can see here, it mentions that Rachel's parents are originally from Nigeria. Okay, you can tell that by the name. If you look up the roots of that name, Diallo, and the vast majority of people with that name originate from Nigeria, some from Ghana as well. Anyway, her parents originally from Nigeria, moved to Carlow 20 years ago. Moved to Carlow 20 years ago. Well, isn't that a coincidence? Rachel is 19 years old. Her parents moved to Carlow in 2002. All right. Think of our birthright citizenship loophole between 98 and 2004. Ring any bells? Yeah, exactly. So basically her parents, which would be her mother in this case, would be the key person, because what happened here was the mother came over pregnant, and Rachel was born on Irish soil in 2003. And, was automatically entitled to Irish citizenship. And then the mother, as the primary carer, was of course also going to get Irish citizenship, and the rest of the family as well beyond that again. So this is how the Diallo family got into Ireland. And again, I'm not blaming the kids. Okay, this is nothing, this is not Rachel Saltz or Christiana or Sammy. It's not their fault. Okay, they're innocent parties. But the parents, and it looks like the mother specifically, abused our citizenship laws to get into the country. All right. And if you look at almost any black academic in Ireland today who's originally from Africa, Ebon Joseph is one example. That T-Joy Kangara is another example. There is many such examples. I would say the majority of well-known black people working in academia, working in the media, in politics in Ireland today, the majority of them, and not just in those fields, the majority of black families in Ireland today have gotten into the country, are here because somebody in their family either abused the citizenship, the birthright citizenship laws, or the asylum laws. That's a fact. Okay, you just need to look at. You can look back at it. I've made 1 or 2 videos on this over the last couple of years. I gave a couple of examples of people, and I gave the evidence. Okay, I've backed it up with all my sources as to the fact that they all arrived into the country between those years, 98 and 2004. They all had a kid in Ireland during those years, and it's very clear that they came in at that specific time pregnant in order to abuse our birthright citizenship laws and to get their family in as well. So this is what's going on. It's a blatant abuse of the system. Okay, it's not me being against black people or other people. It wasn't all black people. It wasn't all people from sub-Saharan Africa. There was a small amount of people from Asia, a small amount from Eastern Europe and other countries, but the overwhelming majority were coming in from sub-Saharan Africa. And this is why you find that, like I said, the majority of black families in Ireland today are in the country because somebody in their family dishonestly abused our either asylum laws or birthright citizenship laws. Okay.